Welcome back, folks. Episode 33, Get a Grip on Lighting. On today's show, we're honored to have Dr. Venkat from the University of Toronto. He is the Director of Scientific Operations and the Director of the Smart Sustainable Lighting Network. We talked about a lot of stuff, the need of lighting in the world, whether lighting is a human right, a whole bunch of other things. It was really interesting conversation. This guy's a heavy hitter, folks, for the Get a Grip on Lighting podcast, and we were so happy that he came in studio and sat down with us for, Greg, about an hour or so?
Yeah, it was a good conversation. Really good.
Yeah, it was a good one. You guys should listen to this. This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Kurtzon Lighting. Go to KURTZON.com. That's Kurtzon.com. Greg, why are we going there?
Well, because they have specialty products, and the one we want to talk about today is medical light fixtures, and also to tie into this podcast.
Hey, Maddie, throw that screen up there, the medical light fixtures for our YouTube watchers. Go ahead, Greg.
Yeah, and to tie into this podcast, the slogan on the Kurtzon website is illuminating your world. So you'll hear more about that when you listen to the podcast. But in terms of medical light fixtures, they actually have exam room troffers, operating room troffers, MRI downlights, surgical downlights, patient room troffers. So really they cover everything you need for a medical facility in terms of specialized light fixtures meant just for those applications.
I mean, if you're building a hospital, you got to go to Kurtzon.com. If you're renovating a hospital, if you're involved in that sort of thing and you're an engineer or you're a lighting specifier, go to KURTZON.com. Specification grade, Kurtzon. Best warranty, most honest warranty in the lighting business, Greg, that 5/10. I really like that too. I keep talking about it, but I wish more manufacturers would get involved with that one.
They should, for sure. And it states it, like you said, right on their website and explains it up front. So that's the best you can ask for.
Yeah, you don't have to dig anywhere. This episode of the podcast and every episode is brought to you by the National Association of Innovative Lighting Distributors. That's NAILD.org. Greg and I are both members. Come on, man. You don't know? Do you know what happened before you started selling LEDs, son? You got to take yourself some LS1. Go to NAILD.org. That's nailed.org for information on joining this association, educational programs. And what else we got down there, Greg, at Nailed? Coming to the conference?
Yep, networking, and just overall a good educational background where you can really learn everything you need to know about lighting to be successful.
Agreed. And we won't hold you up anymore. This is episode 33, Dr. Venkat on Get a Grip on Lighting. Welcome to the Get a Grip on Lighting podcast, Dr. Venkat.
Good morning. Good morning, Greg.
Good morning. Thanks for coming on and being in studio. Always nice.
So, yeah, it is nice. Wish you were here, Greg.
So,
Dr. Venkat, tell us a little bit about your role as Director of Scientific Operations at the Impact Center at the University of Toronto.
So the Impact Center at University of Toronto has, it's an unusual department, within the university setup. We are a cross-disciplinary research center with a focus on bringing science to society. By that, what we mean is that, a place like University of Toronto, many people really do not know that we spent about $2 billion every year on research, not on infrastructure, not on salaries, purely on research. Okay.
Wow.
$2 billion, that's about, $3 million per day. If you roughly calculate that, that's a lot of investment, but the return on investment is also fairly high. If you consider, we are second only to Harvard University in terms of number of papers published. Compared to the amount of investment that goes in other big US universities, we do give, a lot of return on investment, provided the way that you define that return on investment.
Sure.
Okay?
So you're saying you're spending $2 billion Canadian dollars a year.
Yeah.
On research at the University of Toronto?
Yeah, it's a big university.
That's sure.
It's a big university. It's one of the top 10 universities in the world. We are big. We do have, large faculty. A large number of students, and one of the world leaders in research. But the question is, how do you define return on investment? Okay, typically in an academic setting, it's defined as, the number of papers published. The peer recognition that you get from other.
What about
experts.
sightings of those papers?
Yeah, citations and the invitations to lead conferences and the big awards like Nobel Prizes and things like that. Actually,
so some of the return on investment is social recognition for the University of Toronto.
Yeah, it's more largely built around the peer recognition. Okay. So that other experts should call you as the best in the field. That's what academic institutions largely focused on research strive for.
Okay.
And teaching is a big part of that actually, because you want to create next generation leaders as well in research. Okay. But at Impact Center, I mean, like we thought, I mean, like in a different way. I mean, like because we create a lot of knowledge. Okay, the knowledge, I mean, like is pretty much, I mean, like no use to society unless you convert that as products and services.
Sure.
Okay, so I mean, like I publish a paper. I mean, like somebody else cites that. I mean, like, and we both are happy about that.
But
we
that's changed in academics a little bit. For in the past, they didn't care at all whether it applied.
Yeah.
So what has changed at the University of Toronto and other universities where they now, I see there's this thrust to take that research, to take that information and find applications in the real world for it? When did that change and why?
Well, I mean, like it's not a sudden change. I mean, like it has been a gradual change over a few decades now. I mean, like, okay, one of the biggest thing that caused this change, in my opinion, is that, I mean, like a lot of corporate labs used to engage in fundamental research. In the past, I mean, like we have IBM Bell Labs, okay, and they used to be doing research, I mean, like which resulted in transistors, lasers, I mean, like, and a whole bunch of, I mean, like technologies which fundamentally reshaped, I mean, like the way
like
that
Xerox is another one.
Yeah,
the Xerox
Xerox,
part.
I mean, like IBM, ExxonMobil lab, I mean, like Dow Chemicals. Everybody had huge labs where they hired the best of the world's talent and let them free on fundamental research. And then they didn't even think about, I mean, like what are we going to do with that actually. But in the past few decades, the corporates have started focusing a lot on, I mean, like return on investment. I mean, like the shareholder value,
Sure.
I mean, like for tomorrow, I mean, like quarterly shareholder report, okay. So the bottom line, I mean, like started dictating everything, and slowly one by one, everybody chopped off that model, okay. And in my opinion, that's a very valuable model. Sitting in industry doing fundamental research is a great thing, I mean, like to contribute to society. Having moved that model, there was a big hole, I mean, like that universities have to fill, okay. So, and naturally, I mean, like they stepped up into that, and now, I mean, like increasingly people are starting to ask that question, where does my knowledge go? Okay, as a researcher, I want to see, I mean, like in my lifetime, something is done with the knowledge that I generate. Okay, if I say, for example, make a better ceramics that's going to give a better handle on your mug, I mean, like that doesn't break. Okay, I'm going to be happy. Okay, so I'm going to see that, I mean, like my research has contributed to that. My research has contributed to the light that you're having in this room. Okay.
So you're in charge of you're the director of the Smart Sustainable Lighting Network. Now, Greg's going to be really happy that we just said the word lighting.
That's
So
good.
you're in
I
charge-
was just going to find out.
So tell us a little bit about the Smart Sustainable Lighting Network. What is it and why should it exist?
Yeah, I mean, like continuing on the same theme, I mean, like one big part of, I mean, like translating knowledge as benefit to society is to work very closely with industries. Try to understand, I mean, like what challenges that the industries have in new product development, or I mean, like solving existing product problems and things like that, and bring that problem into the university, leverage the expertise that is available in the academic universities. You can't match the width and breadth of R&D that is available, I mean, like in university, I mean, like compared to any other companies, okay. So we can very quickly pull together, I mean, like team of multidisciplinary experts who can help the industry, I mean, like create the next best product or solve, I mean, like an existing challenge.
Have you done that yet?
Yeah, we have done that. I mean, like in the past 10 years, I mean, like we have done several products. We worked with a large number of companies, including lighting companies. When there is a team of, I mean, like a large number of companies from the same area emerge, we create what are called these as, I mean, like grassroots industry academia clusters. This is not something that the government dictates. Okay. You can view this as I mean, like a small version of Silicon Valley, I mean, like Boston biotech cluster or something like
Sure.
that. It's a very grassroots things. The idea behind this is to bring, I mean, like 4 stakeholder groups together. Okay, one is the academic researchers. The second group of people are the industries. The third one is the government agencies that are interested in either energy saving or, I mean, like industry growth or job creation. We bring them together. The last part is, I mean, like the end users of lighting. So when we bring all of them together, of course, I mean, like the critical part of the whole thing is to create, I mean, like next generation products for the industries, but also, I mean, like sharing the knowledge, okay, sharing the resources that are available in the universities, help train the students for next generation thing. Because I mean, like many places, I mean, like really do not have a lighting program. I mean, like lighting education. program.
Greg and I say all the time, there's no such thing as lighting engineers.
Yeah.
Greg, did you want to jump in here now? We have to remember he's out there in Minneapolis. Go ahead, Greg.
Right. So the $2 billion in research, and I assume the Impact Center is a portion of that. You're not managing or responsible or
no.
have
We are
anything
a
to do with that.
minuscule part of the whole thing. Okay.
Small portion.
Yeah.
So of that portion, how much of it is dedicated towards research and lighting?
we can't really, say that, because I'll probably, during the conversation it'll surface, because when we talk about lighting, there are complex challenges. Sometimes, we do nanomaterial research. Sometimes we do heat transfer research. Okay, so these are all connected to lighting, but not exactly, in lighting. So you don't know how to count these things actually. So we don't really,
Sure.
count separately for these things.
So like you're talking
What have
about,
you accomplished so far in lighting?
So we worked with several companies. Okay, our biggest part is that we helped a lot of companies. We contributed to their R&D process in creating maybe architectural lighting, automotive headlamps, miners, cap lamps, medical handheld lighting devices, a whole slew of products that our industry partners are creating. There are challenges, critical challenges associated with that. I don't think that I won't ever go and say that we did that. Okay, we worked together with them. We helped them. To find that missing piece that helped accelerate their product development.
what about patents? Do you guys count patents? How many patents you apply for or generate or anything like that?
Yeah. One of the other critical question is patents. So we don't really count the number of patents. A lot of times when industries want these things, especially in a fast moving industry like lighting, you don't have time to do all these things. You want a solution to a problem now, want to quickly go into market. Of course, when we create something very fundamental, very groundbreaking, that's going to add, enormous value to the company. Yes, we do patent, those things. And when that happens, there are university regulations for how to do that. Sometimes, it's jointly owned. Sometimes it's owned by the university, licensed by the company. Sometimes the companies can then outright purchase, from the university and take it away from them, actually. Okay. So all kinds of model. We are fairly flexible, on all these things.
Very good. So you guys is there any project right now that you're looking at specifically in lighting that you guys haven't done before, or anything new to the industry that we're not really aware?
Let me preface that a little bit, Greg.
Yeah.
So we sell light bulbs every day.
Okay.
Okay. So or lighting
Exactly.
systems, however you want to do it. So our interest is, how can we get ahead? How can our listeners to the podcast, what should we be looking out for that's going to be adopted very quickly in the future that's not in the market right now? Can you give us any insight into that?
So I can answer it in two ways. One, the direct answer for that is, all of us know, there are emerging areas in lighting. One of the biggest area is connected lights. Okay, so there's going to be enormous convergence of multiple technologies coming together, where light will also play one of the critical roles in that. So that's a critical area that everybody should watch out, in my opinion. Okay, we can't live in isolation. We are the lighting people. really can't live in isolation. They have to talk to the network people. They have to talk to the HVAC people. They have to talk to the energy managers, or maybe sometimes neurophysicians. Okay, because you look into health and well-being of people in that case. So convergence of all those things is what we have to look into. And similarly, there is also expansion of light applications in other areas. One of the major thrusts that is coming out is horticultural lighting.
Yeah,
Okay.
horticultural lighting,
Yeah,
sure.
we have to feed the world, and we have to feed them in an energy efficient way.
Whenever we talk about horticultural lighting, it always is cannabis.
Uh,
You didn't even say that, Greg. The first thing you said was food.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So from a scientific research perspective, not a business perspective, when you look at horticultural lighting, you're thinking about feeding the world, doctor?
Yeah, that's a question. Because cannabis. Even if it is legalized, we haven't done any project. Every week or every other week, I get a call from some company for doing cannabis lighting, okay? Or at least solving a problem about that. And we have been, deflecting all these things because it's not legally. It's not yet legal. Okay.
Right.
So we don't want to tread into an area, where it's not legal. Okay. That said, we are not even sure, when it becomes legal, tobacco is legal. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know whether I will be helping people to grow tobacco.
Okay, I get it.
Okay. So, I would rather focus on feeding the people. Okay.
Sure.
Or, getting the best nutritional food, in cities, in urban areas, where people can grow, in their own spaces, or, close to their home. Okay. So those are the bigger challenges that as I said in the very beginning, one of the biggest mantra of Impact Center is what we call a science to society. Okay.
Science for society.
Science to society.
Science to society,
So
okay.
we want to take the science to society, okay, and we want to solve the societal problems. Leveraging the knowledge that we generate. When that said, we're not sure. Whether we want to go in that direction or not. Okay. Even if it is legal, we are not sure. Okay, we haven't made up our mind. I mean, like, but it's a big talk that has to go within our department. Okay.
Is the implementation of lighting, in your opinion, in a given space, an art or a science?
Yeah, I mean, like it's a mix of both. I mean, like it's a mix of both. I mean, like okay, I'm a scientist. Okay, so I come from like scientific background. I mean, like I know like how complex the things are. Okay, and I would never like underestimate like the value of science. Like in bringing that thing over there. Okay. But then at the end of the day, like when you put it in that space, you have to put the right kind of light that beyond energy efficiency, beyond like the color quality and everything. Like at the end of the day, the users have to like that. Okay, and somebody who is entering into that space should think that like they should be welcomed into that space.
But here's the thing: I tell my sales reps all the time. This is interesting. What's the best color temperature for an office? Right? I say whatever the customer thinks is the best color temperature.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if you're sitting in front of a client and you're like, well, you should really use 3,000 Kelvin or 3,500 Kelvin, and here's why. And the guy's like, I want it white. Well, but no. You should use this. No, I want it white. Okay, you're gonna get it white. I mean, at the end of the day, there's such a human see light. And on this show, we often talk about, Tom Butters was talking about it from the IES, Greg, about educating the industry and then educating the general population. There's so much emerging now in the lighting field in terms of Kelvin temperature, tunability, what kind of light at certain times. I don't think anybody knows what's best right now, Doctor.
Yeah, see, the other part of what we do at Impact Center is helping, like young entrepreneurs grow. Okay, I won't go into that. But
Sure.
we tell our young entrepreneurs, listen to the customer. Okay, just go to the market and listen to the customer. Even before you make the product, you go talk to them, find out about what they want. Okay, create a product that they are going to like it. Okay. Unless they like it, they're not going to be happy. Even if you save energy, even if you say that this is really good for you, you can educate them. Okay, you can educate them about the health benefits of having a certain kind of light. Okay? There's enormous knowledge that is coming out nowadays about those things. You can educate the customers, but you have to be patient. Okay, first thing that I would do is to listen to the customer, fulfill their mood, what they want in that working space, or at their homes and things like that. Okay, and then you can slowly educate them about the benefits of energy efficiency, the benefit of using the right kind of wavelength for that will help your health and things like that. You have to bring them. Okay. You can't impose it on them, definitely.
Yeah, what does the customer want to buy, Greg?
Exactly. Another question: what do you consider healthy lighting?
The health, yeah, I would say that first of all, I would preface that we don't have a complete knowledge about this yet. Okay, the knowledge is emerging. It's a very new field. Okay. You guys are working in lighting. You know about that. For how many years we have been starting to think about these things?
Well, health effects of lighting have been a snake oil business for my entire career.
Yeah.
Until very recently.
Yeah.
And even until I interviewed Dr. Mariana Figuera, I was always going, I don't know about this, right? Because in the past, people would sell fluorescent tubes that were full spectrum and that could cure seasonal affective disorder and these types of things. But they had no proof of this. And the first time I encountered the health effects of lighting was my show with Dr. Arnold Wilkins, where he talked about the impacts of flickering fluorescent tubes. So I think, I know Dr. Figueroa has proven that she can help Alzheimer's patients. Was there something else, Greg, that she had also had studies on, like real double-blind studies that proved that there was an impact? Was there something else, or was it
I think
just
that
the
was the
Alzheimer's?
primary one.
Yeah.
The primary. There might have been autistic patients, but I don't recall exactly.
No, as far as I heard about, her work, followed her work.
Sure.
It's largely related to elderly adults.
Yes.
And particularly, those, the early onset of dementia and, and the following things on that. She has done a lot of nice work on that field. So, about 5 years back, I mean, like when I was telling to my colleagues at the Impact Center, who are, I mean, like most of them are PhDs,
Okay.
that, I mean, like there are non-visual effects that lights can, I mean, like induce in that, and we have to watch out for that, and we have to create the right kind of light for that.
Where are you guys at with that? Are you guys doing research on that right now?
We are, I mean, like we are not doing any core research on non-visual effects, but we want to exploit the knowledge that has emerged out right now and help our industry partners create the light that will, I mean, like incorporate some of the knowledge that is going into that. For example, I mean, like one of the things that I am personally started to work on is, I mean, like creating specific light for elderly population. Okay, because I mean, like that's a big challenge in developing countries, that population is aging. And there is
in developing countries or developed countries?
Developing countries.
Okay, really? Like India and China and places like that?
Sorry, I mean, my
developed
countries.
So like Germany, Canada, United States. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, Japan. I mean, I lived in Japan for 2 years. I've seen that happening over there. They want to create robots to help people, I mean, like elderly people. Okay.
Sure.
We want to create, I mean, like the right kind of light that will help people to be in their home. Okay, not move into care facilities. I mean, like not move into the.
So what's the outcome you want for them then?
So the outcome is that, I mean, like
they sleep better.
They sleep better. They sleep on the local level. I want them to sleep better. I want them to have the right mood. I mean, like I don't want them
mood.
To get mood.
MOOD.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, like I want them to have. I mean, like.
So you know that. So scientists know that lighting affects mood.
Yeah, it does.
They know that it affects mood.
It does. I mean, like especially. I mean, like in.
Like artificial lighting can impact how you feel during the day.
Yeah.
They know that.
Yeah.
Do they know how to fix it?
We don't know how to fix it. We are not yet there. I mean, like we know that the light affects the mood. Okay. There are lots of studies that have gone into that to do that. Especially, I mean, like the focus is largely on Alzheimer and dementia patients, where they, I mean, like get very easily irritated. I mean, like if they are in a particular type of lighting or a light that flickers and things like that. Okay.
Is that because they're more sensitive? Is that because their body is distressed by this disease?
Yeah.
They become more sensitive. But everybody is sensitive to a certain extent to this sort of thing.
Yeah, that's true. I tell my son. I mean, like the other day I was telling him that, I mean, like in your age you can jump and break your bone and it'll mend. Okay. In my age it won't do that. Okay? But both of us will break our bones. Okay?
Right.
That's the truth. Okay. You can get it easily mended. I won't get easily mended. That's why we want to pay a lot of attention to elderly population, because it's very difficult to fix them. Okay.
Yeah.
So you want to do it right, that they don't break. Okay.
Yeah. So also though, but if they're more sensitive to these things, they will lead us to things that will help everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a big problem, big issue, because I mean, like unless you help them, okay, the caregivers are going to be stressed. Okay,
so is the health effects of lighting a mental health issue largely?
No, it is. I mean, like there are non-visual effects that affects the hormonal activity inside the body. Okay, it's not purely mental. Okay, and so I mean, like it's one thing leading to the other thing. Okay, the non-visual effects leading to hormonal imbalances. The hormonal imbalances leading to, I mean, like disturbed sleep. I mean, like and midnight waking and things like that. And that leads to, I mean, like irritations. I mean, like anxiety and I mean, like and fear and things. So it's kind of, I mean, like a cascading of effort. The mood comes as a byproduct of, I mean, like the whole series of things that are going on. And by fixing the light, you probably, I mean, like can fix some of them. I say that probably because we don't have, I mean, like 100%, I mean, like knowledge about those things.
And there's also variant factors. Like how do you factor out the other things that may be causing someone to be depressed other than, so like, let's say the lighting is a 15%.
Yeah.
And then they're going through a divorce and it's 50%.
Yeah.
And then, maybe their mother is sick and they're not doing well at work. How would you actually parse in a study? How would you parse out or variable factor analysis? Is that what it's called? Like where you parse out an effect?
Yeah.
How would you do that?
I'm not somebody who works in that field.
Okay.
But I mean, like scientifically, what we do is that's where, I mean, like we go to large ensemble of samples.
Okay.
We go to diverse set of people and then do, I mean, like a double-blind test on them. Okay. And then watch out, I mean, like the outcomes of those things, I mean, like over an extended period of time. Okay. And then you formulate, I mean, like your results on the basis of those things. So you can't really, I mean, like test randomly few people and say that I changed their light in their house and they're happy. Okay, that's not science. Okay, that's maybe, I mean, like they're happy due to other things. As you said, I mean, like maybe, I mean, like their marital relationship got better.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, yeah. So, I mean, like you can't take credit for everything.
Sure.
But in science, what we tend to do is, I mean, like you do, I mean, like as much controlled as possible in a large number of sample. and then like evaluate the outcome of that to formulate like certain recipe that can come out of that actually. Okay, that's the way that we go about it.
Now this one's maybe changing gears, but a little random at the same time. But it is science related, and since you're a scientist, maybe you can help us on this. I've been hearing about LEDs that are going to disinfect your building, UV LED light source. Are you guys doing any studies with that?
We are not doing anything. Like again, I'm saying that like it's people are equating one thing to the. Like they know something that is happening. You can't really like extrapolate things. Like in a gross way. Okay, so UV as a disinfectant is a very well known fact. Okay.
Okay.
But the amount of UV intensity that you need to do disinfection is really very high. Okay.
Right, and it's not. Is that good for humans?
Yeah. So
No, but is that amount of UV without?
No.
So I have a UV light. I live on a farm, so I have a UV water filtration system and it goes in front of the light. But you can't look at that light.
Yeah.
Like you can't turn it on and have it shine in your eyes.
Yeah.
So, is there possible that they could admit? I think what you're asking is like hospital rooms. Oh, we're going to disinfect them with the light. But if you're killing bacteria, are you hurting humans at the same time?
Yeah, in the case of like water purification systems, like you don't directly expose human to that UV radiation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you are like passing water through the UV disinfection system, which can instantaneously kill like large amount of bacteria in that. Okay, and that's really good. Like that's a proven thing that everybody uses. That
Sure.
all municipalities in the world like use that.
Sure.
Thing, okay, and we also use it at homes. Okay. On the other hand, like you have to see that. Like in case of like water purification, you make that go through a very tiny area.
Yes.
Where you can have a very high intensity of UV that can kill the bacteria. Okay, if you want to do that kind of like intensity in a room like this, you have to use enormous amount of UV energy for that. Okay, and also one should remember that killing half bacteria, like some of those hand sanitizers, they claim that 99.9%. Okay, 99.9% is not good. Okay, because what's going to happen is that like the remaining 1 in 1,000, okay, 1 in 100, 1 in 1,000 will be the most resistant one, and they start breeding that actually. Okay, and you now have like some bacterial colony that is resistant to whatever you are doing. Okay, drug resistance to antibiotics is a huge thing that is people are talking about now actually. So unless you thoroughly disinfect, doing half disinfection, that's why you say you have to take antibiotics for the full course. Okay, so similarly, like even if you use UV and if you kill only like a part of it, it's going to like repopulate the whole place again. Okay,
and it's going to be a stronger bacteria.
Yeah, it's going to be strong. It can be. Okay,
so we're actually causing the evolution of bacteria.
Yeah, we do. And it's very clear. like drug-resistant bacteria.
I hear about that, but it's actually humans are by killing 99.1%. The 0.8% is a super bug or something.
Yeah, we do that. Okay, and it's a proven thing. Like drug resistance to
So be careful with lighting systems that disinfect, I guess, Greg?
Yeah.
That's what it sounds like. Yeah, we're too big.
I don't buy into that.
You don't?
Yeah, unless you really want to do it thoroughly. Let's not do it. Like in a kind of like a
half measure
way. Yeah. Okay.
Another thing, I was looking on your website on Impact Center, and I see the impact projects. One of them is the Global Lighting Project, and I see that, right on the front homepage here, it says 1 billion people in the world do not have access to light.
Yeah.
So what exactly are you guys doing with that? You want to explain that?
like I grew up in a developing country. Okay, so I had, I didn't have electrical lighting in my home until I was 12 years old. Okay. So I know about that. Like when the light comes, it changes your life. Okay, so you are going to have, like a completely different life. Like our productive hours, like increased. Like from 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock every day. Okay. So, and the whole family's thing changed. My brother became a first graduate in the extended family. My father went back and registered in continuing education to complete his degree and things like that. So I see that I equate light with the prosperity. Okay, not just with health. With also with prosperity. So developing countries, many people, like just after 6 o'clock at sundown, there is absolutely nothing for them. Okay, they just have to, like go sit in some corner and talk about it for some time, or like they drink and they sleep. Like that's all they do. Okay, so you want to, like help them to have the same kind of life that you have by extending the productive hours, like that they have. Okay. So that's the biggest thing. Other thing is, education is a crucial thing. Okay, the kids can't study in places. The third thing is the personal safety. Many places in the world use open kerosene lamps, and they are a huge fire hazard. Okay, leave alone the fire hazard. A girl sitting next to it for extended, let's say that 7-8 years at early childhood with that carbon suit that is coming out directly from that is not good for her. Okay, for an extended period of time. Okay, she's getting exposed to 2-3 hours every day over. The cumulative effect over life
of burning kerosene.
Yeah, just sit right next to it. Even if you don't burn your house, you are causing harm. Okay, so electric light can change a lot of things.
Do humans have a right to artificial light?
Yeah, we do. But with every right comes the responsibility. Okay, so you have to use it the right way. You don't want to pollute with light everywhere. You don't want to overuse things. So you have to use it with
There's
care.
so many conflicting issues in lighting, Greg. There's just so many conflicting issues. You have security light, so for example, you light up a highway between, I don't know, name 2 cities in the middle of nowhere in Minnesota, Greg. That people might not
in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, let's say you light up the highway between North Bay and Thunder Bay, right? And you think, wow, this is great. And then all of a sudden you hear that bird migration patterns are now being affected, or animal behaviors being affected. I remember there's this one thing in Florida where they switched, excuse me, they put LED lights in instead of low pressure sodium, and the turtles were thinking they were the moon and going the wrong way. Like instead of running to the baby turtles instead of going to the ocean, they were running towards the LED lights. There's so many conflicting different areas around lighting. You have dark sky versus security versus energy efficiency versus health impacts, and then color temperature and all these sort of things. Are we ever going to put this thing together, Doctor, and into one thing that we know is good?
No, we won't put them
No.
together. Okay. We won't put them together. But you have to see that science collectively emerges and grows all the time. Okay? And as we grow, we are going to have more doubts about what we are doing. Okay. One of the biggest things that science tells you is how to doubt things. Okay. So if you know, if I know everything, I stop and go home. I don't have a job, okay, to work. Okay. So you need to, keep constantly asking questions. Our complex knowledge is going to keep on emerging in those things, and the fields are going to, as you said, the fields are going to become more and more complex. We have to talk to ornithologists now. Lighting people, can't live in isolation.
Ornithologists, for all our listeners out there, are people that study birds?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Okay. So we have to talk to them. Before we put a street light somewhere, we have to talk to them, maybe. Okay. So and this dialogue will continue. We are going to bring more and more diverse set of people on fold, and everybody will start interplaying in the whole thing that we are doing. So we will never lay this to rest in future, but we are going to get better all the time. Okay, that's the biggest thing that science does for all of us.
See, a couple things with the LED revolution that's been going on. I'm going to call it a revolution in the last 4 years. Is so lighting used to be a very boring, incremental improvement business, and it's turned into maybe one of the most dynamic, fast-changing, fast-moving businesses there is out there. You got so many different angles in lighting now that are really mind-blowing in some ways. But what I've seen is the replication of old problems that were solved in the LED world, and then people having to go like LED flicker. So LED flicker is actually worse than T12 flicker. So we've recreated these problems. And then we've also discussed, who's sort of leading the business. Is it the IES? Is it, who are the leaders? Who do you think we should look to for leadership, Dr. Venkat, in lighting right now?
See, there are multiple leaders, in this field. Okay, organizations like IES do, very great job. Okay, I work with the CAE, International Commission on Illumination.
It's the International
Commission on Illumination. You probably might have seen the CAE chromaticity diagram. Okay, you can see that as CAE as a more fundamental version of IES.
Okay, more fundamental.
More fundamental version. So a CAE tends to create more fundamental standards, and IES tend to create very applied standards that are industry specific.
Okay.
So we, for example, we define the way that color has to be, specified, like CAE chromaticity diagram, and then on the top of it, IES say that for this application you need this chromaticity.
Okay.
So that's the way things work.
So CIE is scientists and IES are more like applied engineers?
Yeah, but CIE also had large number of like industry presence. CIE is an international organization. IES is North American.
Okay.
So like those kind of organizations will play like a very critical role. Like in first of all like studying things better, and also like help to tell people, like educate people about the right way of doing things. And then the role that is played by big industries and small industries. Okay, small industries really can't like devote so much into like advancing the whole area over there, but by contributing like doing thing in a very innovative way, they are going to push things forward. Okay? The big industries have a way, and also they have the responsibility to do it the right way. They have to create the light without flicker. Okay, so by doing that, like they will tell the rest of the people will start competing with them. Okay, by creating the light without flicker. Okay, so they have to lead like in that way. And then like people like us at university, we have a responsibility to develop like better and better understanding about all these things that is going to help on all these things. Okay, so it's a collective responsibility. Like no single person or no single group of people can do that, but at the end of the day, all of us have to work together, constantly together. Okay.
What do you think of the DLC?
Yeah, okay. So DLC has done a very good job. Like in terms of bringing a lot of order into the chaos that was having there. Okay? I am involved with that. Like in the very early stage. Like of energy efficiency by U.S. Department of Energy, and like on the few hydros in Northeast coming together to put that together. So they have like really saved a lot of hydros. Like in replicating the work. Before DLC, think about a world without them. Okay, what would happen? Every hydro is going to have their own set of rules and regulations to incentivize this energy efficient technology. Okay, and that's going to lead to a lot of chaos. Okay, so DLC has brought a lot of order into that. Okay, definitely. But then I also I have a company that helps people to get DLC certification. Okay, we have a test and measurement company where we serve about roughly 65 to 70% of Canadian lighting manufacturers to get DLC certification. Okay, so they test in that company, and I constantly keep hearing from the manufacturers about the increasing requirements and the increasing complexity, the delays that in getting a product certified and things like that. But since I know,
there's a lot of resentment from manufacturers towards the DLC for sure.
But since I also know the other side of it, I know how DLC works. I have a lot of great friends in DLC, so we know what are their challenges. Okay, I don't see a better way. Let's put it this way: there are other organizations, similar organizations. Okay, let's take Energy Star. Okay,
sure.
Okay, so you submit something to Energy Star and to DLC, you know who is going to respond it first.
DLC?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. Okay.
Okay, so but there's IEEE 1789 standard. There's the JAGA consortium.
Yeah.
There's the DLC. What else am I missing here, Greg? There's what do you call those guys? The safety certification standard guys with CSA or
OSHA,
UL and CUL.
OSHA or UL.
OSHA. There's a little bit of compliance fatigue going on in the lighting business right now with so many different standards, and which ones are you going to adhere to, and so on. I'm in the middle. I see both sides of that argument. Greg, do you want to jump in here with something on that, or are you done with compliance fatigue? We've talked a lot about it on this show.
We've talked a lot. I think there is, to Dr. Venkat's comment, I think it is something that's necessary. Who's the right organization to do it? I don't know if I have that answer, but I think it needs to narrow it down some, and we need some defining characteristics, because we talk a lot about quality light, because there's so many options in the marketplace, and people can really put anything out that they want. But if we want to actually implement quality light, we need somebody to say, here's what quality is.
Yeah,
so that's my 2 cents. I don't know who the right one is.
Yeah, and but Greg's always been a proponent that the DLC's doing the best job out there.
Yeah,
is that the way to put it, Greg? Is that what you're saying?
I would say so. Yep.
I concur with that. I mean, like I told that. I mean, like without DLC, the place would have been, I mean, like even more chaotic. Okay, DLC and US Department of Energy have done really good job. I mean, like in doing this. Let's try to answer this question. I mean, like there are, I mean, like a plethora of standards. I mean, like plethora of organizations that do these things. IEEE, UL, I mean, like CSA, I mean, like DLC, all those things. But if you start, I mean, like layering things down, each one has a role to play. Like I said, I mean, like CAE creates more fundamental standards, okay, that defines things, and I mean, like IES tells about, I mean, like specific ways of doing things for a particular job. I mean, like okay, how to fit lights for hospitals, in healthcare, in schools and things like that, and then I mean, like there is also safety requirement. Okay, and then when we starting to learn about, I mean, like new complex things like flicker, okay, somebody else who is a specialist has to step in. Okay, this is not something that we can do it from internally. I mean, like with the people who know only about lighting, people who know about electrical circuits. I mean, like how do they behave? They have to step in, and they have to. IEEE has to come in that place. Okay, so everybody has to do their own role. Unfortunately, lighting is no longer a simple product.
Yeah,
it's
for sure.
not a bulb that you take and screw it into the base. Okay, it is a complex product that has, I mean, like multiple different things, and I mean, like they are designed in a complex way that, I mean, like there is, I mean, like only few right ways to do those things and several wrong ways to do those things. Okay,
Sure.
and so there have to be, I mean, like lot of standards to prevent the wrong way of doing things. I mean,
Yeah,
like,
for
okay.
sure.
I mean, we create. It's a complex world, and complex world needs complex regulations. Okay. It is fatiguing. I mean, like I know that.
Complex
I mean, like, it's very
world needs complex regulations. Oh man.
You can't simplify. I don't see any other way of doing things. Okay, you can't. People who deal with, for example, I mean, like in light quality. Okay, they can't tell about the safety. Okay, how the light is going to work. I mean, like when you are putting it outside,
Sure.
when it is raining all day, only UL people can tell those things. Okay?
Sure.
So everybody has a role to play in those things, and believe me, it's going to get even more complex. Okay, tomorrow we are going to talk about, I mean, like, when you start, I mean, like integrating sensors to them.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, and integrating that as a part of the bigger building thing. Okay, there is an interoperability standard that's going to emerge.
So an interoperability standard that's going to emerge, is it going to fly? Like are people going to be forced to comply with the interoperability standard by government regulation?
Yeah, I mean, it works in two ways. I mean, like there are voluntary standards and there are, I mean, like regulatory standards.
Okay.
In certain cases, like safety. Okay, there is no other way of doing that other than, I mean, like being regulatory.
Sure.
Okay? So without that, you can't plug that into wall. Okay, that's the way to tell that. Okay, and in some cases, this is the right way to do the things. Okay, you educate people, and they will do the right way. Okay, I don't know, I mean, like which way it will go. But I think, I mean, like industry as a whole will, I mean, like converge onto something and accept something on interoperability, because, I mean, like without that, I mean, like it's not possible, because we started seeing the benefits of interoperating things. Okay, how do, I mean, like I put a light over in this room, and I put a bunch of sensors into that talks into the building system, that lowers the window shade. I mean, like when it is too bright outside, immediately, I mean, like cut down the light to save energy, and also, I mean, like increasing the AC. I mean, like and when I move out of the room, I mean, like automatically lock the door and shut down the lighting. I mean, like we have started seeing the benefits of that. Even, I mean, like small homes, I mean, like smart homes have started seeing the benefit of this, and we are not going to step back and lose that. Actually, we are going to, I mean, like make them work together, and so some kind of, I mean, like interoperability framework has to emerge.
Okay. I have a question that's a little bit off lighting, but if we were to able to generate all our energy cleanly, would any of this matter?
You still have responsibility.
Like if let's say our energy was 100% renewable.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because right now the thrust is like, well, if we do this, we'll save energy. If we do this, we'll save energy. We lower the thing, and the HVAC will go down, and da-da-da-da. But if we could just make all our electricity clean, and all you had to do is pay for it, then who cares if the things are automatic or not?
Okay. So since this is a very broader question, I mean, like
it's a broad question, yeah. But that's what I think to myself. It's like we're at the one end. You have gas-powered energy, and there's countries in the world like Ontario is very clean.
Yeah.
Okay, it's like one of the cleanest jurisdictions in the world for energy, right?
Definitely.
Whereas you take Germany, for example, they're burning coal, right? And so, 90% of their energy is from coal, right? So they're 500. I was at a conference and the Ontario Power Generation put up a slide saying this is Ontario, this is Europe, and we're way cleaner. We've met our Kyoto Protocol. If we had clean energy, why waste our time with all these finicky, nitpicky things in terms of energy reduction at the end? If we had clean energy, just put in an incandescent light bulb and forget about it.
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, like, I would try to answer this question, I mean, like, completely outside science.
Sure. Yeah. No, philosophically.
So, philosophically. Okay. I mean, like, I don't want to say that word, but I mean, like, as you become affluent, I mean, like, you have more responsibility.
Okay.
Okay. So that's how I think, I think, I mean, like, why everybody has to think. The richer you become, the more charitable you should be.
Right. But not more complex.
It need not have to be complex.
Yes, you have to have complex regulations. You said
no, you don't need to. You don't need to be complex. Okay, that is where I mean, like, the voluntary things come in.
Okay.
So I mean, like, if people start, I mean, like, not being, I mean, like, so self-centric that okay, I'm okay. I live in a comfortable house. I mean, like, I don't care about my society. Then I mean, like, it's society one day is going to. I mean, like, one day you are going to step out of the house. Okay. Okay, and that's going to be dangerous for you. Okay, and that's going to be dangerous for you. Okay?
Sure.
So I mean, like, but it's my collective responsibility as I become more affluent. I have to become more charitable also. I have to look into the people why they are not able to do it the clean way that I'm doing. Okay, maybe they have constraints. Okay, Germany have no other way other than burnt coal. Okay?
But are you saying that Canada has a responsibility for people that don't live in Canada?
I would say that I mean, like, yeah, definitely. Okay. Definitely, we have. I mean, like that's where I mean, like, your moral superiority will come. Okay. Okay. So
I'm not sure, but I'm listening to you.
Yeah,
I mean
like, that's
we got to bring it back to lighting. Greg's looking at me here.
Yeah, I know.
We're on the Get a Grip on Lighting podcast, but
probably. Okay.
I'm not. I don't know about. That's a tough one to say that, hey, Canadians have a responsibility to help who? Haitians?
No.
I mean, who?
No,
right?
No, it is not. I mean, like, wherever it is needed, as the case may be.
That's endless.
Yeah. It is endless, okay, but that's the way that it should be, because I mean, like, unless you kind of, I mean, like, take a bigger responsibility to the society, okay, it's going to be, I mean, like, some way come back and hurt you. Okay.
So all these things that we're doing in lighting, all the research we're doing, everything that we're doing is part of a larger picture to make a cleaner, better society. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, and that's why we are interested in global lighting. Okay, that's why we are able to come. Like, we just can't ignore the population that is living without lighting. We have a bit of responsibility because we know how to build that light.
Is artificial light the greatest human invention?
So, I mean, like, okay, let's call it as electrical lighting. I mean, that's the right way of calling it. Okay. So, electrical lighting is, I would say that, I mean, like, would come in the top 3 or something like that.
Like toilet,
okay. Yeah, I
lighting.
know. I mean, like, I mean, like, I think one of the journals.
Like plumbing, toilet, sewage.
Times or one of those journals responded. I mean, like, no, the journal, Time or New York Times rated toilet as one of the
Economist rated toilet.
Maybe, yeah,
the Economist rated the toilet. Yeah.
So I mean, like, I would say that artificial intelligence, I mean, like, is the great
artificial intelligence.
Sorry, I mean, like, I mean, electrical lighting.
Electrical lighting
Will rate as one of the top 3.
Okay.
Because you see that, I mean, like, it without artificial lighting, we don't have, I mean, like, productive hours. I mean, like, after sundown.
Right.
Okay. It's the greatest productivity tool that human beings ever invented. Okay. Toilet is, I mean, like, maybe the hygienic tool. I mean, like, it solved a whole bunch of health issues and things like that. But I mean, like, in terms of productivity, there is no better tool than lighting.
So artificial lighting and electric lighting is the greatest productivity tool humans ever invented.
Yeah, it is. I mean, like, that's why, I mean, like, I'm so proud to work in that field.
Yeah.
I mean, like, okay.
I think that's a great place to end the podcast, Greg. What do you think?
Absolutely. Can't end it any better.
Yeah. We're in the industry that has provided the greatest productivity to humans in the history of all inventions, and now is on the cusp and the threshold of helping health issues, of improving quality of life, to bringing productivity to poorer nations. This is a great business. Dr. Venkat, I really appreciate you coming on the Get a Grip on Lighting podcast.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity. It was fun. I mean, like, it's nice talking to you guys.
Yeah, really nice to talk to you as well.
Thanks. Okay.
Kurtzon.com. Go to KURTZON.com. Baby, that's Kurtzon.com. Greg, what are we talking about with these medical light fixtures for hospitals and exam rooms? Tell me a little bit more about that. Maddie, throw it up on the screen for the YouTube viewers.
Well, first of all, is the fact that they actually have them. A lot of manufacturers do not have specialized fixtures like this. And it's something you don't think about a lot, but in a medical application, you need to have specific fixtures for that environment. They have exam room troughers, operating room troughers, MRI downlights, surgical downlights, patient room troughers. They cover everything you need for that type of facility, and they have a specialized light fixture made in LED just for that.
Yeah, you know, Kurtzon's really ahead of the game when it comes to covering off all those specification grade applications. So if you're specifying new builds, renovations in the medical field, or really anywhere else where there's lighting where you need to have fixtures that are solid and great, you got to go to Kurtzon.com, baby. KURTZON.com. That's Kurtzon.com. And Greg, what about the National Association of Innovative Lighting Distributors, who really helped us get this thing started and has sponsored not every episode, but everyone from the fourth on? What do we got to say about those guys today? We're members.
Yeah, we're members, and I think they're the best lighting-focused association that we have in the industry today. Somebody that's really geared towards what's happening next and trying to, keep an eye out on what's the future of lighting is going to look like. So that's what we're all about in this podcast. That's what the association's all about. So definitely someone to be a part of if you're in lighting.
For sure. So go to naild.org. That's nailed.org for training, joining, convention, all that sort of stuff. We'd also like to say, hey, Dr. Venkat, thank you for coming on the show. That was a real honor for Greg and I to have someone of your stature come on in and sit down in studio and take the time to talk to us and tell us what you're doing at the University of Toronto and along with the Smart Sustainable Lighting Network. It was really good. So thanks to Dr. Venkat, all of our sponsors. That's episode 33, Get a Grip on Lighting.
Written on the rectory wall, there's a sign there for all. You are lost, the Lord is there to find you. Boys, I know it's hard, temptation's all abroad. All you need is calm, the door's always open. There'll